Hi and welcome to the Riverside Town Hall. A little housekeeping before we begin. Everyone is muted during this webinar. A recording will be sent out to all attendees after the webinar has concluded, along with a copy of the slides. There will be Q&A at the end of the presentation today, but feel free to ask questions during the webinar by clicking on the Q&A box at the bottom of your screen. Once the presentation concludes, I will ask the questions presented in the Q&A box or chat feature. I may not get to everyone's questions, but we will do our best. If I don't get to your questions, please call 760-848-4096. I will also put this number in the chat box. All right, Mike, turning it over to you.
Thank you, and welcome everybody. Good afternoon. Today we're going to go through a couple of the SBA disaster loan programs and answer hopefully a few of your questions and really just try to get a lot of information out to you. And keep in mind, as we're going through this and after we're done with this, we do have our Coachella Valley Small Business Development Center that is hosted by the County of Riverside Economic Development Agency that is here to answer your questions one-on-one. And so we'll at numerous times during this presentation, I'll be giving you the number and how to reach us. So with that, I'd like to introduce the supervisor for the 4th District, V. Manuel Perez, to address the audience.
Thank you, Mike, and thank you to all of you that are listening in on our Riverside Town Hall webinar, in which, quite frankly, the purpose behind this conversation, this town hall, has to deal with what we have not talked about enough, in my opinion, and I know that we need to as much as possible, and that is economic recovery and our efforts within the County of Riverside. We know that obviously the coronavirus has hit hard here within the Coachella Valley and the County of Riverside for a period of time. This was known as the hotspot, ground zero, as being one of the first areas that was impacted by the coronavirus, and now obviously it's spread throughout the County of Riverside. As a result of that, though, not only has it been a public health issue, but as well an economic recovery concern. Here in the area of the Coachella Valley, we all know that we are a tourism industry, a hospitality industry, in the amount of up to $8 billion. And quite frankly, these are the months, the month of March, the month of April, in which we have quite a bit of festivals and events, conferences, in which people visit us from all over the world. And people obviously usually would be working and thriving economically. And unfortunately, because of the coronavirus, we know that that has now gone to a point where people have been losing their jobs, unfortunately, and people are closing their shops. We know here, for example, within the County of Riverside, we've asked businesses through survey, asking them what are their losses, and we've been able to survey 535 businesses. We know we have thousands of businesses, but we've been able to survey 535, and out of those 535, we've lost already economically up to $128 million. That's just within those 535 businesses. And so my hope here with this is that as we practice social distancing, for example, through this webinar, that we're able to provide you information that will assist you when it comes to applications for SBA disaster loans, when it comes to information including video content and webinars for you to visit through Rivco Biz Help, for example, or when it comes to understanding what loans are out there through different banks and specifically looking at forgivable loans or microloans. And so we also have from the Coachella Valley Small Business Development Center, Joaquin Tejerina, who I'm gonna go ahead and ask him to speak on behalf of EDA, Economic Development Agency, and the Small Business Development Center within the Coachella Valley on behalf of the County of Riverside. Thank you.
Thank you, Supervisor. Joaquin Tejerina, hello everyone. Just to touch on a few of the points the Supervisor brought up. Businesses need timely and accurate information about resources that are available. And to that aim, Riverside County Economic Development has put together a website. Supervisor Perez has mentioned it, rivcobizhelp.org, RIVCOBIZHELP.org. That is a repository of the latest information that is out there, everything from our local county to the state and the federal government, everything in EDD, GoBiz, SBA, and others. I urge you to take advantage of this website and look at the information that is there. In addition, the Coachella Valley Small Business Development Center is your local SBDC here. I have a team of 7 consultants here locally that are assisting businesses as we speak to go through the process of applying for the disaster loan at SBA and looking for other sources and other options for them that fits their business needs. So we're here. You will see some information at the end of the presentation today on how to contact us. Thank you.
Perfect. Yeah, thank you, Joaquin. Next, we have Joshua Bonner, the CEO and president of the Greater Coachella Valley Chamber of Commerce.
Thank you, appreciate it. I'll be very brief. Wanted to thank Supervisor Perez for doing this call. The Chamber's been dealing with 2 things right now. We're trying to serve our business community. Obviously, a lot of questions around loans, what loan programs are available depending on what type of business you have, nonprofit, C3s, C6s, on the for-profit side, LLCs, sole proprietorships. Those options are all different based on what type of business you have, what size your business is. So I'm very glad that SBDC is there to help our folks through that process to get them the funding they need. And then the Chamber has also repurposed our visitor centers to serve as community resource centers. We're fielding calls from the community, lots of calls about unemployment, working through the EDD system. Obviously, they're a little overwhelmed at the moment. So for those folks that need additional help and don't feel comfortable doing it online by themselves, we're trying to help them through it as best we can. So just trying to be good community partners. And again, we appreciate the supervisor and SBDC doing this for us, for the business community, to try to get everyone to the help they need. Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you so much. So as I go through this, I'm going to try to give you as much of the information as I can. You know, there is some things that are still currently being written into law and into policy. So I'll go through that as well. But my job today is to get you as much information about these 2 loans and a few other things. So with that, like I said, here's our website, ociesmallbusiness.org. You can go on there and you can find all of the SBDCs in our area, or you can call us at our 800 number and we will get you a live consultant within a couple hours of you calling, if not sooner. So with that, I'm going to kind of go through some of this, but I'd like to start with just a little about me and myself. So one, there's a picture of myself so that you get a chance to see who's talking on the other side of the screen. And then a little bit about the SBDC program. So we are a federally funded program through the SBA. Our job is, we have about 100 consultants in the Orange County Inland Empire area. And our job is to help businesses one-on-one start, grow, and exit their business. And then obviously with where we're at today, to survive and understand what's available to them. So there are a lot of people just like me. We're mostly small business owners, experts in very specific categories, or can help you in very specific ways, like whether it be funding or marketing or different things like that. So as I go through this, let me give you a little bit about my background. So I own a couple Rocky Mountain chocolate factories and a Sugar Daddy sweet shop. So I own candy and chocolate stores. And so just like many people on this call have been affected in a lot of ways, right? I mean, if we look back 3 weeks ago, we were in a very different state of mind, right? I mean, I was coming off of, 55% growth over the first 2 months of the year over year. And, as I kind of show you, this is what one of my stores had looked like about 3 weeks ago, fully stocked, a lot of different things. And then, go back to, where we are today. And I've had to clean everything out and, hopefully prepare for whenever we are going to go back to business as usual. And I'm not sure that there is such a thing as business as usual. But, in my mind, I'm preparing for, I'm assuming we're going to be closed May, all through April and all through May, hopefully opening June 1st, but not sure about that, right? So, there's a lot of just not knowing what's going on in today's world and what's happening, that we have a lot of things as a small business owner to keep in mind and to understand and to figure out what's available. So with that, things that you can do in your business right now. So if you're a brick and mortar, you should be having the conversation with your landlord about your lease. The 2 questions that you should be asking are, 1, can you abate this? Or can you give me some type of forgivable piece to this so that I don't have to pay my rent? Or can I defer it, right? So obviously the first one would be, can they give you some kind of assistance so that you don't have to pay as much for your rent or anything at all? The second one would be to defer it to a later date. Most of the landlords that we work with have been giving deferrals, not necessarily giving away any part of the loan as a forgivable piece, but deferring it back 90 days, 120 days. I have one landlord that is not willing to do anything, and it's pay tomorrow, which is the first, or, we'll have to take up, we'll put it into delinquency and figure out things from there. So obviously kind of set into a conundrum of what to do. And so my first suggestion is connect with your landlord and at least find out what's available. The second one is if you have a current loan right now, go to your lender and ask them for a deferment, meaning push it back 60, 90, 120 days. Most of them will give you 90 days just from a letter, which gives you a little bit of freedom. Obviously right now it's survival, right? So how do we take the limited cash that we might have available and hold on to it for as long as possible until we can be open again? The third one is if you have insurance, contact your insurance company and ask them, do you have business income insurance? And two, how do you file a claim? So business income insurance or business interruption insurance is supposed to cover when there's a virus similar to this. Now, there's a caveat. And so what I got from my insurance company was, a pandemic doesn't, disqualifies any policy you might have. That is going to be a bigger fight on a bigger stage. But if you have this type of insurance, you should at least file a claim, even if nothing else happens today or in the future. If you don't file a claim, nothing will happen for you. And keep in mind, this is being pushed up to the California Commissioner's office so that they can start to take a look at it and understand what they need to do to step into this. So take a look at it. And the last one is your employees, right? I mean, your employees are like your family. And what do you do? So 2 weeks ago, I had to lay off 25 employees. And, you have to know what to do with them. And you also have to know, is it more beneficial for them to file for unemployment, or are you better to try to keep them and pay them? I know that people keep hearing there's all this free money, all these grants. Well, until we know that for sure, you need to do what's in the best interest of one, your business and the long-term sustainability of it. And two, what's in the best interest of them, being able to put food and provide for their families. So I have a little chart and we will send this out to everybody after this is over. It usually takes us a couple hours to get it all there, but you will get a copy of this, the PowerPoint, and the presentation itself. You'll get it sent to you directly. But here are the different things that you have available. So disability insurance, if you're unable to work due to medical quarantines, paid family leave, unemployment insurance, paid sick leave, workers' compensation. So these are really the 5 different pieces that you could qualify for your employees, or what they could qualify for. Talks about what they would do. And then the very last column talks about, they just click on that and go right to the forms. Keep in mind, the EDD, which is the State Employment Development Department, is overwhelmed, right? I mean, I think they've had over 1 million claims already just for the state of California. They're not prepared to handle all this. So, keep in mind, there's a long wait times from what I understand. There's people that aren't getting through. So it's going to be like this for a little while until they're able to catch up, if they are able to catch up. But like I said, this gives you a good understanding of what's available to you. And obviously there are some other things that have come out from the Treasury and from the federal government. As soon as we have the actual language, we will share that with you. But currently right now, there is no language around it. So with that, here's some funding that's available to you. I'm going to go through the 2 SBA disaster loans. There's traditional loans that are out there. You have lenders out there. You have Rabobank, you have Pacific Premier, you have Bank of America, Wells Fargo, Union. You have a lot of lenders out there that have traditional lending platforms and programs that, if funding is what you need, that might be available to you and might be something that you should look at. Credit cards. I'm never a fan of credit cards, but we are in different times right now. There are a handful of credit cards that are 0% interest for 12 months. Might be something that you need to look at. I'm not suggesting to do that. And my suggestion to you is, if that's the route that you want to go, is just understand what happens, if it's 0% for 12 months, what happens on, month 13, day 1, how all that interest accrues. And if you don't understand, I can help you kind of figure that out. But that's another option. Crowdfunding sites have kicked up. There's Kiva, GoFundMe. There's a lot of different sites for people. That might be an option for some. City and county loans you're starting to see them pop up, where they're either 0% to 5%, anywhere in between. I know the city of LA has one. The city of Long Beach has one. There's a few other cities. And I know that, counties are looking at it. The county of Riverside has a revolving loan fund, and they have a CDBG fund. So take a look at it and see if it benefits your business and if you qualify for it. And then the last one are there's still equity funders out there, for your business, kind of like Shark Tank, like you would see that. But, it's just knowing what's available to you. Not all businesses will qualify for some of these. Some businesses won't qualify for any, but you want to take a look at everything so that you understand what might be available to you. Okay. So what's in the current stimulus bill? So the first thing I'm going to walk through is the Economic Injury Disaster Loan. That is the only loan program that currently exists today from the SBA. The Paycheck Protection Program, I'm going to walk you through it, but it might change from what I tell you today to when it actually gets pushed out. So what we hear from the SBA is that it should be coming out by the end of the week. I'm going to go through what was in the Senate bill, but like I said, the SBA is still writing the standard operating procedures for it, so it might change dramatically from what I share with you today. But I'm going to share with it anyways. So from there, let's talk about the things that you're going to need to prepare for any type of funding that you're looking at. You need to get your credit history and your credit score, a little bit about your business, how you're going to use the funds. If you haven't filed your 2019 taxes, which I completely understand, and you've been given an extension by both the IRS and the State Franchise Tax Board, you do have the ability to at least, you need to get your interim 2019 P&Ls. So at least, if you haven't done your taxes. And if you don't, you're going to need to pull your 2018 taxes for some of the questions that are going to be on a couple of these loan program questions. Your tax returns for the past 2 years. So if you don't have 19, you need to pull 17 and 18. And I would suggest pulling 17 and 18 anyways, even if you have 19 as well. Both your corporate returns and your personal returns if you happen to be a corporation. And then on the right are all the forms you're going to need to fill out. Now, for now, I'm not going to go through them all, but I'll send you a list that links to each one. And a lot of them are really straightforward as to what you need to fill out. But I'm going to walk you through 2 of them today that's going to put you through the Economic Injury Disaster Loan. And then, so let's go through Economic Injury Disaster Loan. These are disaster loans that the SBA or the Small Business Administration lends out directly to business. They are the lender. Okay, so this goes directly through them. Usually when a disaster hits, it hits a very specific area. It might hit like the state of Florida in a hurricane, or tornadoes go through the Midwest. This is the first time that I'm aware that it's affected the entire country. So keep that in mind as you're filling this out. You might not be able to get a hold of somebody from the SBA, or it might take a little longer than normal for them to respond to you, because there are 30 million small businesses in the country. Potentially 30 million businesses are being affected by this. So keep in mind that there's a lot of people that are looking for ways to survive in their business right now. Okay, so the Economic Injury Disaster Loan is currently up and available. And so when we're done today, the hope is that you will apply for it if you feel that it's a good fit for your business and get that process started. So first is, how much can you borrow? So eligible entities may qualify for loans for up to $2 million. The interest rates are 3.75 for small businesses. And I'm not going to get into nonprofits, just not my area of expertise, but nonprofits can apply for this. A 501c3 non-religious can apply for this as well. Terms are up to 30 years, and eligibility for these businesses it's actually been modified to be businesses that are less than 500 employees. So as long as you have less than 500 employees, you will qualify for this loan. Now, to be able to be eligible for the loan, you have to show that your business has been affected by COVID-19. It doesn't necessarily mean that you've already been affected. It means that you might possibly be affected in the future as well. So keep that in mind as you're thinking about whether this fits you. Have things changed? What's changed in your business that maybe, it's affected, maybe you've had people that you were currently doing work for have pulled their contracts, or, a lot of people have been affected by Coachella Fest and the Coachella festivals. If that's affected you or it's going to affect you, that shows that you've been affected by COVID-19. Okay, so working capital and things that you can use it's meant for fixed debts. So your payroll, your accounts payable, so people that you owe, other bills that could have been paid had the disaster not occurred, your rent, right? So all of these things are part of what you can use these loans for. And it can be, and as you project out, it's up to a year, right? So you can potentially project out to a year. And I have a feeling, obviously the COVID-19, we might not be back to business until June, and it's going to take a long time for this economy to snap back. This might affect you for longer than a year, but you can project out for a year. Okay, so what businesses are eligible to apply? So businesses that have been directly affected by the disaster, businesses that offer services directly related to the businesses in the declaration, and other businesses indirectly related. I know that's a lot of federal speak and legal speak. Basically, everybody that if your business has been affected by COVID-19, you are eligible to apply. Okay, keep that in mind. It's as simple as that is. Okay, so what are the collateral requirements? Currently, and keep in mind, these laws may change come Friday, but this is currently what is written. Economic injury disaster loans under $25,000 do not require collateral. Over $25,000 requires collateral, meaning most likely your house or anything else that you might have. SBA takes real estate as collateral when it's available. And then this is the big caveat to that. So SBA will not decline a loan for lack of collateral, but requires borrowers to pledge what is available. Okay, so if you don't have collateral, that's okay. You still need to apply if this loan fits you, but you don't have to have the collateral. Don't make that the determining factor of why you might not apply for this. Okay. What are some of the businesses that are ineligible? And I'll just quickly cover this. Agricultural enterprises, religious organizations, charitable organizations, gambling concerns and gambling businesses, and casinos and racetracks. So they're excluded from being allowed to apply for this. Okay, so how to apply? Applicants, apply online is the easiest way to do this. And my suggestion is to apply online if you have the capabilities of doing it. The initial form takes about 15 minutes to fill out. And I'm going to tell you everything that you need right in front of you to pop into these boxes and fill it out. But you go to disasterloan.sba.gov/ELA to get there. And I'll show you this again. There are other ways to do it. My suggestion is not to send in a paper form. Keep in mind, there's going to be millions of businesses applying for this. They're going to go through the easier process first, and then they're going to get to the paper forms. So I think to get in front of the line, you definitely want to fill it in on the online portal. Okay. And like I said, the online portal, if you filled out these two forms that I'm going to tell you at the end of this, it will take you about 15 to 20 minutes to completely fill this out on the initial stage, which will get you into the process, which will get you to the next step. Okay. The basic filing requirements, currently all you need, and they just changed this as of yesterday, you need Form 5 or 5C. So Form 5C is for a sole proprietor. Anybody else, S Corp, C Corp, LLC, partnership would fill out a Form 5. And then the other form that you're going to need, and I'll talk about it at the end as well, is SBA Form SBA Form P-019. And we'll write it up here in a second. And maybe Hannah, you could add the link to it just so that they have it. The only thing that has in it is it needs to know what your sales were for the last 12 months, and then what your cost of goods were for the last 12 months. Now, if you don't know that or you don't have it, you can go to your 2018 taxes if you're a corporation, and you can look right on the corporation on Schedule K and go to, say your sales revenue and your cost of goods will be right there. If you don't know it exactly, you can give a really good estimate of what you think it would be. Okay, but that's what they need on schedule or on Form P-019. It's your sales revenue for the last 12 months and your cost of goods for the last 12 months. If you don't have it, you can go back to 2018, but you are going to need that. And if you need help with that, we will help you figure that out. But that's the only other form outside of Form 5 that you're going to need to get through the initial application portal. Okay, and then these other forms you're going to need to fill out once the loan is processed, and they're going to need Form 413, which is a financial statement. So it's all of your assets and liabilities and your total wealth personally. And anybody that has more than a 20% stake in a business is going to need to fill this out. So if you have 3 partners and everybody's 33, 33, 33, all 3 of you have to fill out Form 413. Okay. Form 2202 is literally just a schedule of your liabilities. Who do you owe and and how much do you owe? Okay. And then your most recent tax returns. And then Form 4506 is just giving the SBA the ability to run your credit score. Okay, and they're going to run that right through the IRS. So they're going to run it a little differently than most would. So those are the forms that you're going to need right up front after you've gone through the initial portal. Okay, and I'll go back to that in just a second. Other things that you're going to need, obviously your tax returns for the last 2 years, a year-end P&L if you don't have your taxes for 19. And then you're going to need to fill out Form 1368. And this is going to come later, but this is where, and so keep in mind, this is an interesting loan because you don't actually ask for any money. They determine how much money they're going to give you based on what you fill out in these forms, right? So Form 1368 is going to take your last 3 years of monthly sales. Okay, so your last 3 years of monthly sales each month, and then it's going to ask you for what are all your fixed expenses currently. And so it's a pretty easy form, but you got to have all the information in front of you. If you don't, you're going to have to go back and dig up some of your information. But those are the forms that you're going to need. And then my suggestion is submit your application as soon as possible. So my suggestion to you is if you have the ability to go in today to the SBA disaster loan. What you're going to fill in right now is, your name and address, your corporation name and address, your revenue for the last 12 months, and your cost of goods for the last 12 months. And then it's going to ask you a question is, would you like an advance of $10,000? And so my suggestion is to check the box, but that's up to you if you don't want it. But check the box for the advance of $10,000, and that's what you're going to submit to start. All these other forms you're going to need to compile, and you're going to need to get the information for. But it's basically your information for your business as far as address and all, the EIN number, things like that, your social security number. It's also going to need, there's one other piece to it. It's going to need your bank route, and your bank routing number and account number, so that it can deposit that $10,000 directly into your bank. Okay, so my suggestion is to click the box where it says, would you like $10,000 in advance? So that's going to start the whole process. And so once you're done with that, then you'll hear a response back from a person from the SBA disaster team that's going to ask you for these other forms. Okay, and when you're done applying for this, so if you applied previously to yesterday, the SBA is asking for everybody to go back and do this again. So I apologize, and keep in mind, I don't work for the SBA. We are here to help you through some of this. But if you applied prior to yesterday, they're asking you to go in again and go through the documents. It's really simple. Like I said, it's about a 15-minute form that you're going to fill out online, and you're going to click the box that says, yes, I want the advance. If you want it, if you don't want it, that's okay. But click on it and submit it one more time. Okay. So with that, what to do right now. So like I said, I would suggest printing out Form 5 and Form P019 and filling it out on paper, and then going into COVID-19relief.sba.gov, or you can just go into sba.gov and you'll find your way to the disaster online portal. And remember, the only available option right now is the economic injury disaster loan. And you're going to fill out, once you fill out these paper forms in pen or pencil, it makes it really easy to go in and type it in. So that's my suggestion, but you do whatever you think is best for you. But my suggestion is to do this as soon as possible, because that's going to get the whole process started, and it's going to put you in the front of the line. They do this on a first come, first served basis, and it just restarted yesterday because they're asking everybody to redo it. So with that, and let me just kind of go back. So this is a 30-year loan that is at 3.75%. They are deferring for anywhere from 6 to 12 months, meaning if you get this loan, let's just say it's $100,000, you don't have to start paying it back for 12 months. It's 3.75 fixed for 30 years. Okay, so fixed for 30 years. And I just put some examples of what that means. So if you borrow $25,000, it'd be $116 a month for 30 years, or 360 payments. Now, there's no prepayment penalty to this, so that you can pay this off sooner if you'd like, but this is what it is. Okay, borrowing $50,000 for 30 years would be $232 a month, and so on and so forth, up to $2 million. Okay. Now, like I said, keep in mind, the SBA determines how much they give you. You do not determine that. They will tell you what's available. You will have the ability once you receive funding from them to go back and ask for additional funds, and you'll obviously have to prove why you need additional funds, but you will have that ability. Okay. So that's everything about the EIDL loan, or the EIDL loan, and that's currently what exists today. Okay. So my suggestion is go in, fill it out today, and then we can help you fill out all the other forms. In fact, we have daily calls at 3 o'clock just going through the different forms. So we'll try and get you that link, Hannah, at some point today, so that you can join us anytime, where we're just going to kind of walk through very similar things that we just walked through. Sometimes it's hard the first time you hear it to know what to do. Okay. So this is where you apply currently, COVID-19relief.sba.gov, or you can go into sba.gov. Okay. And so I'm now going to talk to you. Again, here's our site. Here's our number. Give us a call. We will get you a consultant to help you through all of this. We have about 100 consultants throughout our network, and they are helping, they're helping people as they come. And so feel free to call us. We don't charge for what we do. It's already been paid for by the federal government, the state, the county of Riverside. A lot of people put money into our program to be able to offer this assistance at no cost to you. Okay. So that's a little bit about EIDL. So now I'm going to talk about the payroll protection program, and keep in mind what I'm going to talk about is not yet written in the standard operating procedures. This is just what comes out of the Senate bill. So things might change substantially or on a very small scale. We don't know, but I just want to go through, because you're starting to see from a lot of banks what this is. And so they don't necessarily have all the answers yet. And like I said, it might change. And so the first question is, this payroll protection program, as I go through it, yes, you can apply for both the EIDL and the payroll protection program. You just have to use the funds for two different things. So yes, you can apply for them both. And keep in mind, if you happen to get the EIDL and you get the PPP program as well, and you only want one, for the EIDL or the EIDL loan, you have up to a year to take it. So you can turn it down even after you've applied, but my suggestion is just apply for it to start. So let me go through this. So this is a brand new program that's going to be rolling out probably early next week, and it's going to go through all of your lenders, right? So this program does not go through the SBA. This goes through all of the government guaranteed lenders and people that have FDIC insurance, all the lenders that have that. This is where you'll go. So Pacific Premier, Bank of America, Wells Fargo. I'm not vouching for anybody. It's up to you to determine. You probably want to go, if you currently have a relationship with a banking institution, if you haven't received something yet, you probably will. That'd probably be where I would start, but that's up to you to determine where you would like to go. Now, these loans are 100% fully guaranteed from the SBA to the lender. Okay, so not to you, but to the lender that you are going to pay this off. And if you don't, the SBA will give the bank whatever you didn't pay. So that's how this works. Okay, so eligibility, the easiest way to kind of look at this is if your business has less than 500 employees, you qualify. Okay, so less than 500 employees, your business qualifies as a small business. Okay, so that's what they're looking for. 501c3 organizations, tribal businesses, self-employed businesses. And so for both of these, and then we'll probably get some questions, independent contractors, sole proprietors, you all qualify for these loans. Okay, so just wanted to kind of start with that. Eligibility, again, this is just a little bit more, as you know, the hardest hit industries have really been the food accommodation businesses. And so they're trying to give a few other rules and regulations around that as well. So trying to make it a little easier for some of them to make sure that they qualify as well. How much can you borrow? So the current legislation, the way it's written, says that you can, you're basically going to take your payroll for the last 12 months, all of the payroll for the 12 months, let's say it was $120,000. You're then going to divide by 12. So that comes to $10,000, and that's kind of the qualifier, right? That's your payroll on an average monthly basis over the last 12 months, and then you can times it or multiply it times 2.5 to give you what you could qualify for. That is the current way it's written in legislation as to how this is going to work. So if you haven't been in business for 12 months, that's okay. You're going to take 6 months or 2 months or however long you've been in business. They're going to take it, they're going to average it to a monthly average, multiply it times 2.5, and that's the available loan that you can apply for, okay? So for seasonal employers, so for some of you that maybe have restaurants that are only open seasonally, or you have a seasonal business, maybe you supply things to Coachella Fest and different things like that, there's a multiplier effect here as well as to what you could do, okay? So that's there as well. So what are the rates? So the current rates right now, this loan goes up to $10 million, but keep in mind, it's based off of payroll, right? And really what they want is for you to keep your employees. And so for a lot of us, like for me, I don't have employees right now and I don't have payroll. So I know they're still tweaking this loan. So keep in mind, what I say today might not be the same thing that comes out on Monday, okay? It's fixed rate of no more than 4%. So the banks and the lenders have the option as to what they charge, but it can be no higher than 4%. It's up to a 10-year term. And currently they can be deferred for up to 6 months, meaning you're not going to, if you were to get this loan, you don't have to start paying, for a certain period of time, right? They're going to allow you to get up and get running again. Okay. So included payroll costs include salaries and wages, commission or similar compensation, payment of cash tip or equivalent, payment for vacation, parental, family, medical, or sick leave, allowance for dismissal or separation, payment required for the provisions of group healthcare benefits, payment of any retirement benefit, and payment of state or local tax assessed on the compensation of the employee. Okay, so all of these fit into the total payroll costs for your employees. Okay, so how much is eligible? And a lot of you have heard about a loan forgiveness. So this is how it's written in the Senate bill. And keep in mind, this still might change. But so let's say, you had payroll of $10,000 for a month, multiplied times 2.5. So you got a $25,000 loan from your lender. Now, over the next 8 weeks from the time you get it up to June 30th, any payroll costs that I have, any interest on the mortgage obligation, they don't want you to accrue equity. So not the mortgage payment principal, but interest, rent, if you have, if you're leasing a space, and then payments to utilities. And then for those of you that have restaurants, for borrowers with tipped employees, additional wages paid to those employees above the tip part can all be forgiven during that 8-week period up to the amount of the current loan that you were given. Okay, so that currently is the forgiven part, right? But most of that is going to be eaten up through your payroll, because what they really want is for you to keep your employees. Okay, so how could the forgiveness be reduced? So let's just say that you currently have 25% less in wages over the next 8 weeks. They're going to reduce the amount of forgiveness. Now, obviously, they also understand that some of us aren't operational right now, and so we might not have any employees, so it's going to take us a while to get back up. So there's a little caveat to that says if you're up and running in full by June 30th, then the forgiveness will stay the same. It won't be reduced. Okay, I know that's a little play on it. And keep in mind, like I said, this may change. So what will lenders be looking for? Okay, so they understand, you might not have any sales. You might not have any sales for the next 3 months, 4 months. Obviously I think on average, most sales have dipped 40 to 50% in the restaurant industry, maybe even more, right? So for a lot of people, you're not going to be able to show like, here's where I'm going and here's where I'm trending up, right? You're going to say I'm surviving and this is where we're at. So the borrower will use the proceeds to retain workers, maintain payroll, make mortgage payments or lease payments or utility payments. That's what they're looking for, right? Borrower does not have an application pending for a loan duplicative of the same purpose that you're applying for this money. And this is directly connected to the EIDL loan, or the one I just discussed, which it says, you can apply for the EIDL for one thing and you can apply for this for something else, right? So maybe that's going to cover rent kind of for, March, April, May. March, April, May. This is going to cover rent June, July, August, right? That's okay. Just as long as it's not for the exact same thing, right? You can't say March, April, May here and March, April, May here, okay? So with that, what lenders are not looking for, so currently the way it's written is that the borrower does not have to go out and find, in typical SBA loans on the 7A side, you'd have to go out and be denied somewhere else. You do not have to do that. You also do not have to give a personal guarantee. Okay, so they're not looking for a personal guarantee. Now that may change lender by lender. They're going to be able to put some of that in there as well. And then no collateral is required for this loan. Okay, so no personal guarantee and no collateral is currently in the legislation. So we will see if that factors out as they come out with this program, but that's where it sits today. Okay, so with that, I have about 15 minutes to answer some questions. So I'm going to try to get through as many questions as I can, but I want to show you, this is how you contact us. Oh, yeah. So here's all of our contact information. We're here to help you. We're going to send you this as well. At this PowerPoint, more information if we can. Joaquin and his team are here to help you. I'm here to help you. The supervisor's here to help you in the county. So whatever you need from us, just, let us know. But yeah, I'll leave this open to questions. And so I'll try and answer some of these questions as we go. But the first question I have is the forgiveness element only applicable to the PPP and not the EDL? And so currently, yes, that is how it's written into law. Now, there's been a lot of people that have been communicating that $10,000 piece from the EIDL is going to be forgiven. I don't have any information for that. Maybe that will change, but currently that is not how it's worded. So we're going to have to wait till Friday till the SBA makes their determination before I can tell you yes or no to that. Okay, Hannah, do you want to ask the questions? Maybe that's better.
Yeah. Does workman's compensation insurance count as part of the payroll costs that are deductible, forgivable under the PPP loan?
They wouldn't be forgivable because they wouldn't be getting them from you. It's payroll as you move forward. And keep in mind, the forgivable aspect of this is once you get the loan, right? That's when it kicks in. So it starts, and they don't want to see that you're hiring your employees back. They're going to want to see that you're paying your rent, your utilities are back on, or that you're just paying for them. So it goes to forward-facing things.
Does EIDL cover mortgage payments?
It covers mortgage interest, but not the principal. What they don't want is to be paying equity for you.
How can I track my EIDL application online?
So if you haven't applied, if you previously applied prior to yesterday morning, my suggestion is to go back in and they will give you an application number. You can use that application number. You could try to call. I don't know that you're going to be able to get through because they are getting millions of calls, but you will get an application number. And what's supposed to happen from there is the $10,000 piece of it is supposed to come out within 7 to 10 days. And you're supposed to hear whether you qualified and have an interview with an SBA disaster loan person within 14 to 21 days from the time you apply. Okay.
You don't need to, okay, so based on what you said earlier, you don't need to have a complete application to get the advance of $10K if you submit minimum information today?
Right, that's what they're asking for. It's all of Form 5C, which is all of your contact information about if you happen to be a corporation, all of that information. It's going to have your checking account or your savings account with the routing number, and and how much you did in sales over the last 12 months and your cost of goods. That's it.
Does it apply for short-term rentals?
That is a great question, and I don't know the answer to that, but I will try to get that for you.
What did you mean when you said it wasn't intended for lost sales? That is entirely what is happening to our company.
Right, I totally understand. And so it's meant to cover your fixed expenses while you've lost your sales, right? So they're not going to base a loan off of like your sales of, I usually do $100,000 every month. They're not going to give you money off of that. They're going to say, here's how much it costs you just to keep your business up and running. That's how they base it off of, or what they base the criteria for it.
How does the PPP loan apply to employees who are getting unemployment?
So the PPP loan, they're going to base it, they're going to go backwards. Now, if you don't have the ability to hire your employees back, you can use it for other things currently, the way it's written. You can use it for your lease or, mortgage interest or utilities. So it doesn't necessarily have to be just for your employees, but that's really what the purpose of this loan is for. So there will be a less forgivable aspect if you're not bringing back some of your employees.
Can you get both loans, or is it just either or?
Yes, you can apply for both. You just need to use the funds for two different purposes.
Can I modify my submitted application if I submitted it yesterday?
Yes, you can. My suggestion would be just go out and fill out another one. But if you filled it out and you just want to modify because maybe your sales weren't right or your cost of goods, I'd probably just wait till they follow up with you, because you're going to have a chance to submit all this other documentation and change things after. But if you don't have an application number, then I would definitely go back in and redo it. And like I said, if you've done it once, it's going to take you 15 minutes. It's a much easier process, and you don't need all those forms.
Can you apply for the loan if you lease the business and paying all utilities and other expenses?
Yes.
How do small businesses apply for the PPP? Impossible to get through the bank and not listed on SBA's site.
Yeah, so this loan doesn't exist yet. So they're still writing the standard operating procedures for it. This will be coming out from the SBA later this week, most likely on Friday. And so you're going to see all the lenders get involved on Monday or Tuesday. So it's all of the government guaranteed lenders will be able to do it. So if you take a look at if you have a business lender right now that that's where you bank at, most of them will offer this loan. So it's going to go directly through the lenders. So there'll be hundreds of lenders that will have the ability to do this.
What does this do for sales tax for the first quarter?
So this really isn't tied to sales tax. That's more of a state issue. And I know the state has already offered an extension on sales tax, and we'll try to get you that information. But it's a little different sales tax than what this loan is for.
Will there be a different process for applying for EIDL than there will be for stimulus covered loan?
And I'm assuming we're talking about the PPP, and yes, there will. The PPP program is going to go directly through your lender.
If I mailed in my application, should I go online and fill out another one?
I would, absolutely. You want to be first in line, and so they're going to check the online portal before they get a chance to kind of go through the paper forms. So you could do that, like I said, in 15 to 20 minutes today. My suggestion would be to do that right now, or when you get the opportunity today.
Are cannabis businesses eligible for these loans?
They are not. So federally, it's not legal. So these are federal loans. And so unfortunately, I apologize, but it's not allowed.
Are charities and nonprofits eligible for these loans?
As long as you are a 501c3 and non-religious, you are allowed to apply for this. And just keep in mind, it's 2.75 and not 3.75 for nonprofits.
For clarification, if they just go to fixed expenses, how do you pay bills at home, or do you use PPP?
That's, so keep in mind, they might give you more than your fixed expenses, but that's what they want to see. And it's going to be for a prolonged period of time. And I'm not sure, how you pay expenses at home. I'm not sure exactly what you mean by that, but, this is really built around being able to, keep and sustain and survive your business, over this time while you're closed?
My business has 4 operating commonly owned by holding CO with me and another owner. Do we apply for EIDL for each operating company or together?
So as long as you have a separate LLC, S Corp, C Corp for all 4 of them, yes, you should apply for each one independently, because there is a potential that you could get a loan for each one of them independently of each other.
How many weeks will be forgiven under the PPP?
So it's up to 8 weeks, but it can be no more than the size of the loan that you get.
Okay.
Yeah, so let me just take this one real quick. Is there any fees, points, application fee, closing fees, bank fees? So for the EIDL loan, there is nothing. For the PPP loan through a lender, we don't know yet. Like I said, they're still writing the procedures. So I can't imagine that if there are, that they're going to be enough that makes sense for people. My guess is that they'll try to push so that the lenders don't do it, but I don't know for sure.
What site do we go to in order to check our application number?
So there isn't a site that you can go on to check your application number, but you can call. Let me go backwards, and I apologize for going backwards through these slides. I just want to get you the information so that you can see where you would need to go. So there's an 800 number for you to call. This is for the EIDL loan, okay? And then the SBA disaster processing piece, and like I said, my suggestion is not to send in a paper piece, but there is an email address and a telephone number for you to call. It's the last bullet on here. And so my suggestion is if you want to call, but as long as you have that application code, that means you're good and it's gone through. It's hard sometimes because they don't give you like full confirmation. So I get it as, we need more sometimes.
Does the 8 weeks of expenses have to be completed by June 30th for the PPP, or does it just start then?
So currently the way the legislation is written, yes, it has to be completed by June 30th. That may change when we see everything come out later this week. But currently the way it's written is yes, it would need to be completed by June 30th.
I spoke to my landlord yesterday and asked for abatement or deferral, and his response was that with the PPP, I should be willing to pay my full rent and that it would be forgiven. But my understanding is that I can only claim rent for 8 weeks. Is that right?
That is correct. And maybe not even fully correct, right? I mean, really what you should be with the PPP, it's meant to be for employees. The EIDL loan, that's what it's for. And, unfortunately with your landlord, I think you just kind of need to continue to negotiate. I mean, my landlord said no, said pay the rent on the first or get out. So every landlord's a little different as to how they're dealing with this. If you're not sure, maybe ask for a deferral for 30 days or 60 days or 90 days. I know like we are working with a few clients with the Irvine company. They've given all of their retailers 90 days of deferment, meaning those 90 days of payments are going to get folded into the following 12 months so that they can, they won't have any payments. And I've seen some that are fully just abating the rent, but it's up to every landlord. And unfortunately, you probably personally guaranteed your lease. So you don't have an option, other than to try to work with them, but they have a lot of control here, and I don't know if the whole regulation around moratoriums with evictions, really, I know you've heard the governor say it, but it's city by city. So the city has to adopt the ordinance. And so if your city hasn't adopted that ordinance, and keep in mind, I mean, if you're able to get a deferral for 90 days or no eviction for 90 days, you're still going to owe that money in 90 days. So can you afford that? And what happens in day 91, if you don't have the money, the landlord will then have the ability to evict you. And, or like for me, in one of my locations, my lease is coming up. I want to make sure that we have a good relationship and that, I'm not going against them, but I totally understand. I mean, money's tight in it. And so what do? There's, you got to make the best decision for your business and where you're at. So we can definitely talk offline about that as well.
When I tried applying online yesterday, I had no choice but to enter my bank account info and accept the 10 grand payment. I imagine that the 10 grand, if sent to me, would fall under the 3.75 interest rate?
Correct.
Does the PPP cover both full-time and part-time employees?
Anybody that's a W-2 employee. So yes, it covers both.
If you're a cannabis business and we're not eligible, do we stop filing federal taxes and federal payroll taxes?
I am not a tax person. I can't advise you to any of that. Yeah, so I'm just gonna leave it at that, sorry.
Is this going to be hard to inquire on our credit asking for both loans?
They haven't decided, how they're going to pull credit. So far, it's been a soft pull on the EIDL side, and it's really just them going to the IRS to make sure that you have all this and that they take your credit. But I don't know for sure. I'm going to assume on the PPP side that will be a hard credit pull because it's coming from a lender.
If I laid off all my employees, is there a point to applying for the PPP?
I think you should apply for it. Absolutely. At some point we're going to be up and running in business again. And so, if you think that, I would apply for it anyways. You can always turn it down. But it doesn't hurt to see, what it might qualify you for and some forgiveness, if there is forgiveness on it, that maybe it could offset a few of your costs.
Would the SBA disaster loan refinance current high interest short-term business loans?
They do not. So you can have another loan outstanding, but you can't roll it into this.
If you've been in business for less than...
Hold on one second. Sorry, didn't mean to. So for that question, the SBA on their website, and I don't have confirmation that this is accurate or true yet, but on their site, it talks about people that have current SBA 7A and 504 loans, that they are automatically deferred for 6 months and that they have the potential to be forgiven. I want you to go and look at that language on the SBA.gov site. And like I said, I have no clarification other than what's written there. And so just at least take a look at it, and we'll hopefully have more language on that on Friday as well. But they are doing something with people that have current SBA 7A and 504 loans.
If you've been in business for less than 2 years, is the disaster loan and other related stimulus loans still available?
Yes, they are. And you can be in business for a month, right? Or 2 months. And I have a lot of people that just started their business in January. They are eligible. And what it is it's if your business has been affected by COVID-19 either today or moving into the future, then absolutely. So, yeah, well, thank you guys for everything, hopefully this is somewhat informational for you and maybe things that maybe you didn't know. Like I said, we are here for you for anything that you may need. Here's our number, our website. You can click right onto the Coachella Valley SBDC from here, and you can talk to Joaquin and his team, and we will get you all the information that you need. If you still have questions, like I said, just give us a call. Let's help you walk through. Everybody's a little bit unique as far as what their needs are. I totally understand that, and so we want to make sure that we're getting you accurate information as we go. So again, thank you to the supervisor and the chamber for putting this on, and thanks to Joaquin for being here and helping us lead this. So thank you guys, and we'll get this out to you shortly. It usually takes us a couple hours to get it out, and hopefully we'll be doing this more often. So thank you very much.
The recording will be sent out tomorrow by end of day.